Welcome to Karesansui Moments, where small spaces become soulful retreats. Before we begin, here's a quick insight. 94.7% of our viewers haven't subscribed yet. If you enjoy serene Japanese-style garden inspiration, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. Now, let's transform your minimalist backyard into a calming oasis. Japandi is the perfect blend of Japanese Zen and Scandinavian simplicity. It focuses on functionality, natural materials, and calming aesthetics, ideal for small urban backyards in the US. A minimalist Japandi garden reduces visual noise and promotes inner peace. Every element has a purpose, and every space has room to breathe. Use materials like wood, stone, and bamboo. These natural textures invite warmth and harmony into your garden design. Even in small backyards, create zones, a seating area, a path, and perhaps a compact planter. Each zone should serve a mindful purpose. Keep your color palette soft and grounded. Use beiges, soft grays, and muted greens to stay true to the Japandi aesthetic. Avoid perfect symmetry. A slightly off-centered stone or an uneven stepping path invites natural beauty and imperfection. Focus on vertical space, hanging planters, trellises, or tiered stones. Think upward, not just outward. Create quiet zones with raked gravel, low plants, or a single bench. Places designed for mindful pauses. Choose slow-growing evergreens, small ornamental grasses, or moss. Every plant should support serenity, not chaos. Gravel paths and stone pads add texture and calm. Use light-colored gravel to reflect more natural light in your small space. Avoid perfect symmetry. A slightly off-centered stone or an uneven stepping path invites natural beauty and imperfection. Focus on vertical space, hanging planters, trellises, or tiered stones. Think upward, not just outward. Create quiet zones with raked gravel, low plants, or a single bench. Places designed for mindful pauses. Choose slow-growing evergreens, small ornamental grasses, or moss. Every plant should support serenity, not chaos. Gravel paths and stone pads add texture and calm. Use light-colored gravel to reflect more natural light in your small space. Even a small bowl fountain can transform your backyard. The sound of trickling water creates instant zen. Use soft, warm garden lights or lanterns. Light guides the eye and creates intimacy during evening hours. Select low-profiled wooden benches or simple seating with neutral cushions. Avoid bulky or flashy items. Use river stones or bamboo edging to define pathways without harsh boundaries. Let the space flow. Mix low ground cover with taller shrubs or slim trees like Japanese maple. This adds depth without crowding. Design a curved path with stepping stones. It invites gentle exploration and visually expands your yard. Repeating elements like pots or stones brings visual rhythm. This calms the mind and ties the space together. Plan for four-season interest. Evergreens for winter, moss and stone for fall, soft blooms in spring and summer. Incorporate bamboo chimes or a rustling ornamental grass. Japandi gardens aren't just visual, they're sensory sanctuaries. Use tall, slim plants or wooden lattice screens to add privacy while maintaining a light and airy feeling. Don't fill every inch. Leave some areas intentionally empty. This enhances focus and balance. Bamboo works as a screen, a sound barrier, or a design motif. It brings rhythm and movement to small gardens. Add a single wooden bench. It's not just a seat, it's a silent invitation to pause and reflect. Use clean-lined furniture or matte ceramics to bring in the Scandinavian half of Japandi, balancing the Zen. Minimalist doesn't mean bare. It means everything you include adds value and meaning to the space. Let wood age naturally. Let moss grow between stones. Japandi embraces time and change. Instead of flowers, focus on foliage shapes, bark texture, and stone grain to create subtle beauty. If you add color, use it sparingly. A single rust-colored pot or soft pink bloom can be powerful. Dwarf Japanese maple trees are perfect for small yards. Their delicate shape adds movement and elegance. Use the same materials, colors, or lines from inside your home to the garden to blur the boundary. Place elements like lanterns or bonsai trees where they can be seen from your windows, creating indoor peace. Even a small rectangle of raked gravel becomes a visual anchor and a meditative feature. Celebrate imperfections. A slightly chipped pot or uneven path reflects nature's authenticity. Japandi gardens don't need to be labor-intensive, but regular trimming and sweeping help maintain clarity. grasses like Hakonikoa for gentle motion in the breeze. Use hedges or tall grasses as natural walls to separate spaces without feeling boxed in. Let your stepping stone path curve to a quiet corner. Not every journey needs a destination. Use water bowls, smooth tiles, or polished wood to reflect sky and light. This expands a small garden visually. A Japandi garden invites daily engagement. Whether it's a morning tea or 5 minutes of silence, your space becomes part of your wellness. feature that draws the eye, a bonsai, lantern, or water basin, and place it with intention. Use solar lanterns or hidden LED strips to softly illuminate paths and corners, keeping the mood gentle. Match your garden palette with your home's siding or trim to create a seamless, expanded feel. Repetition in plant type or material creates rhythm, which adds calm to even tiny yards. If your space is ultra-limited, a tabletop Zen garden with sand and stones still reflects Japandi values. Use reclaimed wood, weathered stone, or antique pots. Imperfection and age are part of the aesthetic. Tuck a low table and floor cushion in a corner, surrounded by plants. The perfect pause space. Avoid wind chimes or loud water features. Let rustling leaves and distant birds fill your garden soundtrack. Use horizontal fencing or wide pavers to draw the eye across, not up. Ideal for compact spaces. A simple ceramic water bowl with a few floating leaves brings life and reflection without large-scale plumbing. Resist the urge to fill every pot or bed. Breathing room is part of the beauty. Foldable wooden chairs or a rolling bench give versatility without cluttering the space. Use pea gravel or crushed stone paths with green borders for texture contrast and clean edges. Even your storage can be Japandi. Choose minimalist shapes and muted tones to blend it in. Living in an apartment? Even a balcony can reflect Japandi values, with planters, gravel, and order. Focus on evergreen plants and elements that don't fade with seasons, offering year-round serenity. Sometimes all you need is one large sculptural planter with a perfectly placed plant. That's enough. Your garden is your mirror. What you tend to it reflects what you're cultivating inside. There is no perfect formula. Start with one idea from today and let your garden evolve slowly. Thank you for exploring Japandi gardens with us. If you found inspiration here, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps our community grow and lets more people discover the serenity of mindful garden living. See you in the next video.